Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of our Stocks to Watch series from Global One Media, where we speak with senior leaders of companies across the board to help you, our viewers, make informed and intelligent investment decisions. I am Munir Barazi, your business analyst and host, and today I am pleased to welcome Harry Chu, the CEO and president of Arctic Fox Lithium Corporation, an exploration company that is currently focusing on several highly prospective lithium properties in Quebec, Canada. The company is listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange as AFX and on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange as 7N4. Hello, Harry. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Munir.
So can you start by telling us about how Arctic Fox Lithium was founded and what is its current mission and vision today?
Sure. Arctic Fox was originally listed about 3 years ago as a copper play, and we listed the property, did a bunch of work on the property, did some drilling, didn't really find much, and then COVID hit, and we decided to kind of sit back and wait to determine what else we want to do, not only with the property, but with the company. We were presented with a number of opportunities early part of this year in the lithium space. We didn't really know much about lithium at the time, so I brought on a team to help us assess the properties to make sure that whatever we get involved in were, from our point of view, worthy investments. So we forged ahead and we were able to secure in the last 3 to 4 months 3 highly prospective properties in the James Bay area of Quebec.
Wonderful. So can you please also tell our viewers a bit more about those properties? You're overseeing several lithium exploration projects. Can you tell us a bit more about their potential and what attracted you to invest in them?
Well, thanks for the question. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, for us, hard rock lithium is a new space for us. And in discussion with our team, I mean, the first thing that we need to look for was what's called spodumene pegmatites. Spodumene pegmatites are the signature rocks for lithium. So through the course of our due diligence and reviewing previous government data that was presented to us, as well as our own work that we did on the properties, we acquired 3 properties, the Canada Lake, Pontax, and Delta Lake properties, in total encompassing around 7,700 hectares on 145 claims. On all the properties, we've noticed that there are a number of pegmatite outcrops, probably in total of in excess of 30 of these outcrops that we can see on surface using Google Earth and the data that we have collected from previous government work. So we're quite excited about exploring these properties, and as soon as the fire bans lift in Quebec, we'll be on our way with a team ready to go.
Wonderful. Sounds like there's a lot of potential in those projects. So let's move our discussion towards execution. How far have you progressed in exploring those properties, and how are you effectively de-risking those assets?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, obviously, from our perspective, we want to invest our money frugally, and we had 3 key elements in terms of determining which properties to acquire. First and foremost, as I had mentioned earlier, is to make sure that the properties had these pegmatites. Secondly, it had to be close to infrastructure. And thirdly, power and accessibility. So we have all that. So for us, it's, we're only, on 2 of the properties, we're only 500 meters away from a main road. So we're not taxed with the situation of having to spend a lot of time with helicopter and transporting people and machinery in and out of the properties in order to explore them. So that's the first thing that we did. The second thing was that we looked at previous government data, and for us, we were lucky enough that Quebec, being the province that it is, they sent a bunch of students several years ago to prospect that whole area. So, they unfortunately didn't prospect for lithium, but they prospected for some other rare earth elements. And through that, we're able to determine which properties that had the highest possibility of success. So those are the properties that we went after. And, for us, that's part of the de-risking process. And we use a magical thing called Google Earth. Google Earth is a wonderful tool that we use to kind of look at our properties to see, because pegmatites in itself is a very distinct color. So you could see it on surface. So using Google Earth, we're able to identify on our lands all the pegmatites that you can see. And unfortunately for us, the area that we're exploring, there isn't a lot of outcrop. So we don't have to deal with overburdens and stuff. So you could see the pegmatites on surface. So I think we're extremely excited. We've seen a number of these large pegmatites, which our plan is to go on these properties probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. If the fire ban gets lifted in Quebec, then we'll be on the property. We have a team ready to go.
Hopefully it will be lifted very soon. And sounds like the government in Quebec is providing a lot of support indeed in terms of data and in other ways as well. Can you tell us a bit more about your liquidity and solvency situation? Do you have the necessary resources to carry out the steps in your exploration programs?
Yes, I mean, we just announced a financing about a month ago. We've closed the first tranche last week, and we're closing the second tranche tomorrow. So we'll have sufficient capital to do what we need to do. So we're probably raised in excess of $1.7 million to date, which is sufficient to carry on the tasks that we need to in the first phase of our program. So our plan is to do a lot of rock sampling, soil sampling, and then assaying and mapping to ensure that we have targets available for us to drill this coming fall, winter.
Wonderful, and I am familiar with the area, and it's there are lots of mines there, so I'm sure that is also supportive for your operations. My last question: are there any catalysts that current and future investors should be aware of?
Well, I mean, obviously, as a catalyst, you need some I guess I'm gonna say leaders in the area to kind of push that area forward. Okay, I mean, the biggest leader is the Quebec government. They're very proactive in terms of having people explore that area. They've provided incentives by way of tax write-offs, flow-through write-offs. If you're a Quebec resident, you get 133% tax write-off for flow-through shares. Plus, the federal government stepped in. They say, look, if you're going to be investing in lithium or any other rare earth elements, you get an additional 30% federal tax credit, which is phenomenal. So they're really encouraging growing and exploring that area in Quebec, and particularly in the rare earth space. I mean, there's seldom that you would get every government supporting a mining activity, and I think in Quebec that's evident. I mean, they are the catalyst in terms of other companies coming in. Investment is going into that area. They've provided infrastructure, road access, so a number of things that allow us as explorers to go in there and hopefully find some success. I mean, big companies like Patriot Metals, Lyft, Critical Elements, the Damascus play are all in there, and they're being supported by even larger companies like Rio Tinto, who's recently announced a deal to get into that area and spending, I think, somewhere in the vicinity of up to $65 million to earn their interest. Ford Motor Company, they just announced a deal with, I believe it was Damascus for Damascus mine to supply up to 13,000 tons of lithium hydroxide over the next 10 to 11 years. Phenomenal. Volkswagen's building a EV plant just off the border of Quebec. So I think these are just a few of the things that are happening, and with all the turmoil with supply and the growth of lithium, I mean, that's a natural catalyst in itself. I mean, Argentina and South America, that area, they're restricting exporting of lithium. China obviously is they're keeping all their lithium intact. So, there's only so much lithium in the world, and Canada is going to be the next, I think, hotbed worldwide. So I'm a firm believer in that, and that's why we're in that area.
Lots of factors working in favor of Arctic Fox Lithium indeed. Harry Chu, the CEO and president of Arctic Fox Lithium, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing those updates. We look forward to sharing more with our audience.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.